Same Wednesday, two headlines out of Atlanta. The NFL and the union hang a one-game suspension on any player who commits 3 of 5 health and safety fouls. Hip drop tackle, horse collar tackle, launching, hit on a defenseless player, blindside block. Player safety is a shared responsibility, they said. And on the same day, the league killed the Pro Bowl. 88 names, a banquet in Los Angeles. No game, no games. Peter O'Reilly said it is okay to be the first league to walk away from a competitive all-star game. Troy Vincent said the players do not want competitive play after the playoffs. You come off the championship games, see the physicality, try to replicate it, and it does not sit well. Of course it doesn't. The men running football are now afraid of football. The Bible tells us over and over again, do not be afraid. We are afraid. You can see it in our national pastime. All the decisions are based in fear. Fear of a lawsuit. Fear of a blown knee in a meaningless exhibition. Fear of being called racist or sexist if we don't meet some arbitrary diversity standard. The fear of the lawsuit and fear of the accusation travel together. One is legal, one is moral theater. Both produce the same product, a league that would rather be inoffensive than be football. They will meet the diversity quota in the front office and strip the violence off the field and call both of those things progress. We have turned a collision sport into a compliance department with shoulder pads, and we are eliminating blocking and tackling from the one game that used to exist for the joy of it. In its place, we put gambling. The thrill of victory used to belong to the man who jumped. The agony of defeat is a banking term now, the language of an accountant. Did the prop hit? Victory and defeat used to be written on the body. Now they are written on a betting slip the fan never sees until the app notifies him that he lost. That is not sport. That is a casino using helmets as decor. Losing used to mean a man on his back staring at the lights, deciding whether to get up. Now losing means your unit didn't cash. Do not rewrite the history to make the league the only villain. The Pro Bowl did not die because the league ordered men to stop hitting. The players stopped hitting first, and that is the part that ruins the fairy tale. In the 1970s and 80s, the All-Star game still had pride in it. Hard hits, authentic physical play, men treating a meaningless Sunday like a proving ground. Then the contracts got fat. By the late 1990s and 2000s, agents ran the math. A career-ending injury in an exhibition is not courage, it is malpractice. Linemen stopped bull rushing. Defenders pulled up rather than laying out a star. The hits vanished without a memo. Pride lost to the risk-reward ratio. In 2010, they moved the game to the week before the Super Bowl. Super Bowl participants sat and alternates coasted through a half-speed scrimmage. By 2023, they replaced tackle football with dodgeball, skills contest, and flag football, a carnival built on a corpse. Now they kill even that. Vincent heard from the players. They don't want the hit after the playoffs. You cannot replicate a collision sport after 20 years of teaching men that colliding is a career-ending error. February 10th, 2007, fake punt. Brian Moorman takes the snap, sprints for the marker, and Sean Taylor arrives like an old religion. The broadcast does not analyze it, it yelps. Oh, ouch. Sean Taylor. Moorman is on the turf 2 seconds, then he walks over, taps Taylor's helmet, and says, "Great hit." 15 years later, Moorman still has the jersey framed frontwards because Taylor's face mask was embedded in his shoulder, ripped a hole, left paint. He calls it the most cherished memorabilia of his career. Taylor played in 1 Pro Bowl. He treated a punter on a fake like it was January. Moorman did not sue. he framed the jersey. That play is the last honest argument for the thing they just buried. Gambling filled the hole. That is now the draw. Not intense, high-risk competition. Watching football has become barely distinguishable from sitting in front of a slot machine hoping your prop bets fall in the right order. The league did not erase risk, it moved the risk off the field where men once risked their bodies and into your wallet where you are the one being milked. The men on the field got safer. The fan in the chair got fleeced. America used to love watching men take foolish risks. Howard Cosell broadcast Evel Knievel jumping cars on a motorcycle, and the country held its breath because it might end in a wreck, and the man did it anyway. That fearlessness was so cool, Arthur Fonzie on Happy Days became the coolest man in America by mimicking it. The Fonz was not cool because he was careful, he was cool because he did not flinch. We have traded that for a generation trained to flinch. First by their contracts, then by concussion panic, then by league terrified of lawsuits, terrified of a press conference, terrified of its own product. Do not be afraid is not a suggestion in Scripture. It is a command. It is not self-help. It is God telling his people that fear is a rival master, and we pick the rival. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Fear of a lawsuit is the beginning of a banquet with no game. They will tell you this is compassion. It is unbelief that men can be strong, that boys become men by risking something real, that a nation can watch a collision and not file a lawsuit. The false god is safety that treats courage itself as a lawsuit waiting to happen. Sean Taylor did not flinch. Brian Moorman did not call a lawyer. Evel Knievel did not ask the network for a softer ramp. The Pro Bowl is gone because the appetite for the jump is gone and the casino filled the hole. You do not preserve football by making it safe. You do not make men brave by teaching them to duck. And you do not obey, do not be afraid, by turning the agony of defeat into a three-leg parlay. That is my fire starter. Dre Baldwin, Steve Kim, the Korean Cosell, and Charles Baker here to join me to discuss it. Steve, I know this kind of old school stuff is right up your alley, and I know you remember the Sean Taylor hit. He's a Miami legend. Steve, what do you think here about the killing of the Pro Bowl? And I know it was killed a long time ago. We're just now having the official funeral. But have we gone overboard on safety?
Yes, and if this was a patient, Dr. Jack Kevorkian would have pulled the plug about a decade ago. And then that is the truth. And Jason, we're from the era, and I'm sure us shows Charles, where the Pro Bowl was played a week after the Super Bowl, and some of the games were actually pretty good. And if it was close in the fourth quarter, you know what would happen? A tackle football game would break out, and pride took over. And some of it was actually very compelling television. And there was such a lie in the media. The media played a part in this, Jason, because for years you would hear, why are they doing the Pro Bowl? Nobody watches it. But you actually look at the numbers on the Nielsen's. It outdrew most NBA games. In fact, it outdrew playoff games. I'm thinking, well, now you're part of the lie here. But Jason, I think this needed to happen because the actual non-effort was becoming embarrassing to a point that I think even Goodell realized this is now hurting the league. Now, in terms of your safety first, safety last, and safety everything in between, I couldn't agree more. I don't understand this. It's like with boxing. Fighters fight less than ever today, and then they wonder why they're not as popular. But they say, well, it's safer for the fighters. And I'm thinking, well, first of all, number one, no one is forcing them to do this, Jason. One of my good friends, Rudy Hernandez, he's a trainer. His brother was a world champion. He said, Steve, you know one thing that I've never done as a trainer? I've never grabbed a kid and said, hey, you're a boxing kid. I just drafted you. All of these individuals, like you, when you played football, you wanted to play. And I think there was an understanding, there's an element of danger to this. That's the absolute truth. And the other thing is the danger was part of the fun, is that the reason why I think the football players and combat athletes are very special, whether we like what they do or not. They do something that very few people are willing to do. I think it still takes guts to do it. And Jason, to wrap it up, I think it's one of the reasons why the UFC is popular. Not saying that they don't have rules or certain things you cannot do, but they lean into the violence. They're not trying to like take it away. They're actually pushing it out front, saying this is gladiatorial combat you are about to see.
Man, you make a great point about the UFC because it's a sport that I'm surprised I don't like more. I love boxing. I mean, loved it, and particularly in its heyday. And I don't like UFC nearly as much, but it is what Dana White and those guys have done is recognized a hole in the market. It's like people like me, you, Charles. I mean, do you remember Evel Knievel and like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Him and Howard Cosell and we've never had anything replace that. Like Evel Knievel went away, and it's like we've illegalized men from just doing stupid, life-threatening things or crazy things. Like no one wants to see that anymore. And I was like, I enjoyed that as a kid, and they've taken it all away. Charles, you're in the coaching profession. You've seen safety become this major deal. It bleeds all the way over into load management. And are we playing too many games? Charles, your thoughts?
It was part of being a kid. It's you bring up Evel Knievel. I mean, I don't care where you were from. You probably built a ramp outside and saw how many cartons you could jump. So and the crowd gathered around. Everybody wanted to be Evel Knievel. The Pro Bowl. It was something that used to mark your calendar for you. Sit down and watched it. They competed it. They competed against it. I couldn't wait when I was a kid. I couldn't wait to and watch the college all-stars play against the defending Super Bowl champion, first preseason game. But it was ironic with the Pro Bowl, the guys stopped playing and the flag football and the skill stuff, that was just ridiculous to go do. But they were doing it in Hawaii, so everybody took that trip and went over there and did it. So yeah, you're right. It's been dead for a long time, and there's nothing they can do to bring it back. So the next question is, at what point do you cancel the NBA All-Star game? Because this is a total waste of time also.
It's and the whole injury risk deal, I don't think really applies to the NBA All-Star game. And so it's like, if it's a way for us to do less work or we're making too much money, why give the effort? And so it just it bleeds. It has an impact downstream. Dre, as the young guy in this group, are we just a bunch of old guys rooting for the good old days that maybe weren't so good, and we've romanticized something that really isn't a big deal?
Halfway. You are the old guys, and you are rooting for the good old days, but the good old days were good. The good old days were good for a reason, because the pros in the sports were incentivized to perform during those exhibitions. And what's happening today is the NFL says they want a certain behavior, but they're incentivizing a different behavior. What happened with the professional sports leagues exhibition games, the All-Star games, was that the players and the league were on the same team and they had the same incentive, which is we need the casual fan to see this so they understand how good our product is. So let's play great in the exhibition, like the NBA All-Star game, the NFL Pro Bowl, so that people who don't normally watch the sports, the diehards, which is us, we're going to watch it anyway. The Pro Bowl and the All-Star game are not for us. They're for the casuals who might watch every now and then. But then when they see Joe Montana, they see Jerry Rice, they see Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, they say, oh, these guys are good. Let me watch some other games. That brings the casual eyeballs in. That mattered back when the players were making $800,000, $1.5 million a year. Now, when you have players whose upside is they can get applause from the crowd, which they can get anyway through Instagram and YouTube, and the downside is, such as in football specifically, you get hit too hard in that Pro Bowl. Who was the player who hurt his knee in the Pro Bowl? Was it Garrison Hurst? Who was the player that got injured in the Pro Bowl and he missed the whole season? What if that happens to a player? Yeah, what if that
Who?
happens to a player now and they
Hold for a
miss?
second. Hold for a second. Who was it? What? I thought Garrison Hurst got hurt on a
It was a
beach or
kid. It
something.
was a kid from Georgia, Edwards,
Yeah, I thought it was
tailback.
Garrison Hurst.
Robert Edwards, and I think he
Oh,
got
Yeah,
Robert
hurt
Robert
Edwards.
in a
Edwards.
Right.
pregame activity, like a beach volleyball thing. It wasn't even the game.
It wasn't even a game. Okay,
Yeah.
so the point still with football is a dangerous game. You get hit hard in a football game and get injured there. I know you get hit hard in football, but you get injured in a Pro Bowl game. You're not even really, that's not even part of your contract. Now you just lost $50 million. That's the downside of what you can't get in your career. It doesn't have the same risk in the NBA, but the challenge with the NBA is the same thing. The purpose of playing hard in the All-Star game was to get casual fans to know you and to know the game. We get that already through Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It doesn't matter anymore. So the players are no longer incentivized to play that hard, and the leagues have wanted to monetize every aspect. The NBA's monetized everything. Football's monetized everything. Everybody's making so much money. Why do I need to play hard in this exhibition game? What's the point? The point no longer exists. So the incentive is gone, and this is the reason why the exhibition games no longer matter.
You know, based on your argument, Dre, which I tend to buy and tend to agree with, the better thing to do would have been to kill the thing 20 years ago. And as soon as, because we could see this coming for 20 years. Like, hey, this is unwatchable. And they kept justifying it for the last 20 years by, well, look at the ratings. What do you mean it's unwatchable? Maybe you don't like it, Jason, but we're still drawing 20 million people or 15 million people or whatever. But they should have killed it because it was and it has damaged their brand. But the thing that this whole safety deal to me was like, well, hold on, man. I watched this thing for years and I don't remember guys getting hurt in the Pro Bowl. It seemed like it never happened. And I mean, I was watching this thing in the 70s and the 80s, and they were playing real football. And I just don't remember all this plague of injuries. And so, you know, the injury excuse doesn't hold water with me. And you know, I guess I get it. But I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. Charles, it seemed like you wanted to chime back in.
I can tell you where you're right, and it's all the way around. It's not just football. The basketball is a joke. Guys go out and set records, and you're setting records in dummy offense because there's no defense out there. But baseball was the All-Star game that everybody stopped doing what they were doing in the summer and watched. I mean, you got some heroic moments. Reggie Jackson hitting the light tower up in Detroit. Pete Rose running over Ray Fosse, and the minute they started complaining, I think when the AFC won about 13 in a row, I mean, the American League won about 13 in a row, they started complaining, well, it's not fair, you know, that the winner of the All-Star game get to be the home team in the World Series, all right? Because before they changed that rule, what happened was the managers who was competing for a pennant and had a chance to play in the World Series, they took those games as serious as they could, and they substitutions were serious. We got to win this because you know we need home field in the World Series. Now you're taking that away, and then baseball don't even take an All-Star game serious. I mean, teams if you got an All-Star pitcher, you set his rotation so he's pitching right before the All-Star game or right after, so he doesn't have to throw in the All-Star game. And I don't understand. I mean, what is baseball's excuse for not to go out there and compete in an All-Star game?
Well, guys, I don't even think it's the threat of injury. I think it's the specter of having to give effort. They don't want to give any effort. They look at this as a vacation. They get paid enough. They don't want to do it. They don't want to lift a finger. They don't even want to travel. They want to go somewhere. They want to do Nick Van Exel. They want to go to Cancun. And guys, I don't know if you remember this, Jason. I think you might. Not that I ever lived it, but there used to be a time the NFL had a game between the teams that didn't make the championship game. I think they called it the Burt Bell Benefit Classic or the Runner-Up Bowl. And it'd be at the Orange Bowl the last 5 years. So if you didn't make the championship games, the third and fourth best teams would have to play a week before the championship game. That's how much it has changed. And Jason, to your point, to what you asked Dre, are we just the old guy screaming at the cloud? Yeah. Guess what? We're justified. Because I wrote this in light of the last fight that I watched, Teofimo Lopez against Rolando Romero, which was just utter mediocrity, right? And my view is this, Jason. If you grew up as a child watching Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, Duran, and then eventually I got to cover Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, Marco Antonio Barrera, Bernard Hopkins, and James Toney. If you've seen that, what you see today will pale in comparison. You just can't get it out of your mind. Now, if you're a younger person and all you know is the modern stuff, it may not bother you nearly as much.
It's Dre and Charles. Let me ask you this, because I sincerely do not know. But we grew up playing basketball outdoors on concrete. Did it every single day. Wasn't the best thing for your knees, but we didn't care. We just wanted to compete and play. Do people still play playground concrete basketball, or is the safety risk too much now and people only play indoor courts in controlled environments?
Well, it depends on who you're asking. You're talking about a player who has a career or a contract to protect, then they're probably not going to play too much street ball, literally in the street. But an everyday person who works at Taco Bell when they get off work, they'll go play at the playground. I still see them outside. But you also have the indoor. There's more indoor these days.
I'm thinking of, as 10 to 18-year-olds. I was a football player, but the varsity basketball players would be out on the playground with us, just playing playground basketball. The guys that were really good. Anywhere there was competition, we took it and didn't care. We played football in the streets, and cars would drive by, and we'd stop. But it seems like all of that has kind of gone away, and everybody's doing the calculus on how much risk am I really taking here?
I don't think it's so much a risk thing, Jason. It's an options thing. These days, kids have options. You have TV, you have the internet, you have these devices that are within arm's reach 24 hours a day. Everyone doesn't have the choice of either watch TV, be bored in the house, or go outside and play. You have many more choices now. So I think the reason you don't see as many people outside playing, as a matter of fact, I was listening to an interview between Michael Porter Jr. and Lonzo Ball, and Lonzo was saying that he drives around, he doesn't see kids outside playing anymore because the option of doing other things, those options exist now that didn't exist even 20 years ago.
Charles?
I'm going to blow your mind on this. I remember when I was in the 9th grade, they opened a high school here called North Pulaski, and we went out there, and it had air conditioning in the gym. And we left it out there going, oh, God, I hate that place, man. They had air blowing all on you. It's just, it was just, no, I don't want to play in a place like that again. Now today, and this blows my mind to this day, and me and Darrell talk about that all the time. Very seldom do you get a guy going into college who's actually played the game of 21 before, the most competitive game there ever was. Very seldom do you find somebody who's played that, and nobody plays pickup anymore. Pickup is for guys who aren't really basketball players anymore. The top players in that age group that you named, they don't play pickup anymore. They all have individual trainers. I watched the 5 best high school players in Arkansas one day when I was at a prep school. They were playing one-on-one, and I was like, what are they doing? I didn't recognize what they were doing. One would get the ball, and he'd guard the other one, all right? If he made it, he kept it. If he missed it, it was the other guy's ball. So I'm like, well, hey, get the rebound and put it back in. Oh, no, you can't get the rebound. I mean, if you miss it, you got to get off. Like, what kind of game is this? There's no competing whatsoever. They don't play pickup anymore. It's all individual workouts.
Yeah. That's a perfect segue into put a little humorous take on this whole deal. Have y'all seen this Druski skit? It wasn't put out directly correlated to what we're talking about, but it certainly has some synergy to it. Let's play the full Druski skit. We'll steal some views here from Druski. I find this hilarious.
2nd down and 10. From going, well, maybe this guy can do it, to know he can do it. 19 in this. Oh, my goodness. Helmets out, balls the flag comes flying in.
Helmet-to-helmet hits are just part of tackling. Just watch the way he goes to the ground. He doesn't move.
That does it, folks. Not sure if Ray Price will remember this. Concussions like that tend to stay with you far into the postseason.
Try to angle me in. Hey, take some of that horse speed, boy. Yes, sir.
Breaking news, this just in. A gold Ferrari is heading southbound on I-85. Former running back Ray Price shows no signs of stopping anytime soon as he leads police on a chase of over 10 miles.
CTE, what? They try to say I'm crazy, boy. Tell the boy, come get me. CTE, what up? And I got shot. Sold my shit up. All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. Bitch! I just want to talk. I just want to talk, man.
No, get away from my door.
Leo! I swear to God, I just want to talk.
What the are you doing?
Open this door. Get my shit. Get my shit. Get my shit. Get my fucking shit. Chat, I can any bitch in here I want. Watch this, chat. Hey, get your shit, go up to my room.
I can't. I'm with my friend right now.
Hey, get your shit and go up to my room.
Hold on. Who was you talking to?
Hey, bitch, there wasn't nobody talking to you anyway, ho. Get the f*** out my house, bitch. Get the f*** out my house, bitch.
Ray Price, what's your favorite play of all time?
Shit, keep it real with you, folks. I don't even remember. I don't remember nothing. I just play football.
Hey Ray, over here, with the number of concussions you've suffered this season, do you have any concern over your long-term mental health?
No more questions. No more questions. We're gonna cut this presser.
Man, first off, people try to say Druski's not funny, and I find that ridiculous. Druski is hilarious. I also find it uncomfortable that I find this so funny, and I'm laughing at really inappropriate jokes, but the thing is hilarious. Anyway, Steve, your thoughts are just Druski. Are you a fan of Druski? Do you always find him funny? I think he's, other than Chappelle, maybe the best guy going.
Whoa, that's high praise. Okay, I think he's funny. He's done some good stuff. Was that a skit or a documentary? No, and I'm asking this because in a sense he kind of nailed it. I think a lot of these comedic skits, if you're really good at it, it's a commentary on reality. Like parody is a lot to do with reality, and you overblow it. It's just to make an overall point. I've already seen videos on Twitter this morning where certain former football players are offended by it. And I can see why, because they are at risk. They are going through the process. But at the same time, Jason, I could also see where maybe he's making a commentary saying, hey, this is what a football player goes through. And to be fair, he's doing it at the expense of those who are going through the process.
I want to play TJ Ward. He's been getting the most traction for being someone asking, hey, how come we can laugh at this? Let's play that clip.
In that skit, like you said, it was a couple funny moments, but overall, I'm going to put my sensitivity cap on like everyone else seems to do when it's affecting them. Like you said, these are life and death situations, and at the end of the day, it's a life-taking disease. And I think CTE universally is the only disease it's allowed to be made fun of, which is crazy. You wouldn't make fun of somebody with cancer. You wouldn't make fun of somebody with dementia. You wouldn't make fun of somebody with AIDS. You wouldn't make fun of anyone with these diseases that are taking lives. But for some reason, across the universal platform, whether it's social media, fans joking with us about we saying something they don't agree with, oh, that's the CTE talking. It's the only players, football players, people that have effects of collisions and CTE symptoms are the only people that are allowed to be made fun of.
I'm going to put my insensitivity cap on and just call that cap. And it's a programming that he has accepted and that many people have accepted, that everybody's looking to be a victim. Everybody. And so now $1 million athletes have their victim deal, and it's CTE as it relates to football. And all of this crazy stuff that football players do off the field, we can all blame it on CTE. And I reject that. I blame it on a lack of proper home training a lot of times, an abuse of drugs and alcohol, narcissism, irresponsibility, far more than CTE. I think football players have embraced the whole CTE narrative because it gives them an excuse for bad behavior to some degree, and it gives them a victim card that they can play for themselves. They get to be a part of the victim nation, and this is my full-blown insensitivity cap. I've played football from whatever, age 10 until age 23. All of my friends, virtually football players at the collegiate, professional level. I don't buy the whole CTE narrative. And one of the reasons, TJ Ward, why they can make fun of it is because it's the only disease that I know of that can only be diagnosed in death. So tell me the other disease. STDs? You got to wait to die to find out you got herpes? No, they tell you in real time. Cancer, they tell you in real time. Everything else, except for this, in my view, greatly exaggerated and possibly completely made up deal of CTE. Once you die, we can tell you had it, but you can go ahead and claim victim status for it at age 35 or whatever TJ Ward is. So I don't know. I find the whole thing funny, and virtually everything can be made fun of. The comedy, nothing's off limit. I think TJ Ward's wrong here. Charles?
You know, what I'll do, TJ Ward, a cancer patient is sitting there saying, no, wait a minute, TJ, we never signed up for cancer. You know, no one ever signed up for dementia. So there's a big difference. You signed up for football. That's a choice. That's a choice that you made. I've never watched a football game. No matter how bad I wanted my team to win, I've never rooted for somebody to get hurt. Nobody roots for somebody to get hurt, all right? But it's part of the game. It happens. Good friend of mine I grew up with, Keith Jackson, you know, great tight end at Oklahoma, great tight end in the NFL. You know, he won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. And I was talking to him this summer, and he kept telling me, "Beck, I'm thinking about shutting it down." I'm like, "Huh? You playing with Brett Favre now? You just won a Super Bowl. You got Reggie White. Man, y'all can run it back." No, man, I'm thinking about shutting it down. And I was like, "Why?" And the way he explained it to me, and I'm showing it down. You know, when we came out the hood, he said, if they had gave me $100,000 to run across that middle, boy, I'd have been the first in line to do it. I'd have been first in line to do it. I didn't have money coming up. That would have been perfect for me. And he said, now for $2 million, it just ain't worth it anymore. You know, it just ain't worth it anymore. You know, I got a life after football. You know, he made a conscious decision. It's you know, these young guys, he said, was coming in the league, you know, 6'3", 6'4", running 4.4 40s. And he said, and let me tell you something, Bake, don't ever forget this. You ever watch a guy hand the ball off and a running back go 3 yards up the middle, you know, just a routine play, and you come off the field? He said, there's no such thing as a routine play. If you can get down there on field level and hear and feel what's going on, there are guys that's every single play out there is hidden, is doing stuff that would kill a normal person. He said, and it's just time, man. It's not worth it to keep going across that middle anymore.
Dre, your thoughts here on T.J. Ward, Druski, the whole nine?
I remember Keith Jackson. He played for the Eagles back in the Randall Cunningham days. Yeah, but as far as Druski, I think he is funny. He's good at the skits. I'm not a big fan of stand-up comedy in general. I don't think he's good at that. But these skits where he can plan it out and act out everything, he's actually very good. I found the Erica Kirk one really funny. A lot of people on the right didn't like that one, but I thought it was great. As far as what TJ Ward says, maybe for him personally, as he said, he was putting his sensitivity cap on. But as Charles said, you get CTE. A football player gets it because you chose to play football and you got hit a few too many times. And as far as the joking part thing, anything can be joked on. I've defended Dave Chappelle many a times when people have come back against his comedy skits. I've defended Druski against his skits. The whole purpose of comedy is to take things that people normally take seriously and you release the tension by making jokes about it. So TJ Ward has a right to be sensitive about it if he wishes to, but people also have a right to push back on his sensitivity because that's the whole purpose of comedy.
Am I the only one in this group that's suspicious of CTE, think that it's overblown? Do I need to get Merrill Hod? And I've been meaning to. Merrill says he'll come on the show and talk about CTE. Am I the only one that thinks that this thing is greatly exaggerated?
Well, I'm kind of suspect because you can only diagnose it in death. I mean, that's. I mean, with all the technology you have now, do you have to literally physically take somebody's brain and cut it open to find it?
And they have to volunteer their brain to be cut open, right? So somebody could possibly have it, and if they don't volunteer to have their brain cut open, you never know if they had it or not. So it's not even something we can definitively say is real or not real.
Jason, I don't think there's any doubt that this whole issue has been weaponized against football. I think we have to understand one thing. Like we said, this is a dangerous profession. And it's like if you're a coal miner, there's a chance you might get black lung. It's probably going to shorten your life. But that's the vocation those people have to do or have chosen to do. And in terms of joking around, I mean, Jason, we're old enough. I heard a lot of good AIDS jokes over Magic Johnson. I mean, this is nothing new. Let's be honest about it.
I love that point. And the Magic Johnson AIDS jokes were instantaneous. Instantaneous. No one waited like, oh, is there a proper... People started cracking those jokes immediately. And what TJ Ward doesn't realize, and no one on Speakeasy will tell him, is like, we've been programmed to tap into our sensitive side. We have been told as men, you're not sensitive enough. You need to get more in touch with your feelings. And the whole argument that I'm making and was making with my mono today is like, nah, we need to go back to the good old days. The quiet, silent type, the guys that, didn't whine publicly about, oh, how bad my life is or how hard my life is. They gritted their teeth, did what men do, made sacrifices, took risks that no one else was willing to take. And that's what made the country great, and that's what made men great. And now we just want to avoid the risk in everything or whine about whatever risk it is we are taking. Because, that's good content for a podcast. Give me, return to the quiet, silent types that, suffered all kinds of things behind the scenes. I'm for that.
Jason, in terms of the CTE, I think players are now playing shorter. I've seen a lot of guys basically play one contract and say, we're done. Patrick Willis played 7 years. Luke Kuechly said, you know what? I'm not looking for the 15-year career. I'm good at 8 to 10, right? And I think now with a lot of these young men getting NIL money, if they've saved it, they may not feel the need to have 2 contracts. Maybe they get the rookie bonus, play it out, get the endorsements, and then they walk away. One thing that I've noticed, Jason, I've covered boxing for 30 years, and there were jokes about punch-drunk fighters. People were not afraid to throw that, and I don't really like the term. However, I want to point this out, guys. The guys that have had issues post-career in terms of their cognitive skills, it weren't the ones that fought a lot when they were young. It was the ones that fought too long after they took a few knockouts. And I think more and more fighters should actually just fight more when they're younger and then retire sooner. Unfortunately, that is not happening.
Anybody got a final point here, or we can move on?
We can move on.
We're going to move on to RG3 has entered the Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders conversation and is arguing that Todd Monken actually wants to play Shedeur, but let's let RG3 say it for himself.
Whose decision do you think it was to name Deshaun Watson the starter of the Browns?
I can tell you whose decision it wasn't. It wasn't Todd Monken's. There's no way in heck that it was Todd Monken's decision, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, to make Deshaun Watson the starting quarterback. I've already said that I believe they could have saved us all a lot of time if it was going to be Deshaun Watson or nothing. The man literally took a bazooka to the fan's face and basically said F you to all of them, and they still named him the starter the next day. So when you actually go back and watch Todd Monken speak about Shedeur Sanders and about Deshaun Watson, his answers, right? My job as a quarterback is to analyze people.
Right.
His answers about Deshaun Watson are always very short, matter of fact. Hey, what do you think about Deshaun Watson getting booed? Hey, it's part of the job. Hey, we're here, and if we're not performing, they're going to boo. No sympathy, none of that.
Yeah.
When you hear him talk about Shedeur Sanders, it's like, hey, what did Shedeur Sanders show you today? He's like, oh man, he was great. He showed me that he could do this in the pocket, and he's learning and he's developing. I'm really proud of him. When do you hear him talk about Deshaun Watson like that?
Right.
You don't. There are 230 million reasons why Deshaun Watson is starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. It's his contract. Period.
Well, he's leaving out the fact that Shedeur is as soft as baby boo boo, and so that's one of the reasons why they talk about Shedeur that way. Charles, your reaction?
It's RG3. This guy wins a Heisman Trophy. He goes and has his great rookie year, and he starts off on ESPN, and I'm thinking he's doing a pretty good job, and then he keeps going and he keeps going, and then he's off TV, and then he's on the internet, and he's trolling people, and he doesn't seem like a character anymore. He's more like a caricature to me. I mean, it's every time you hear something from him, it's clickbait. Listen, this whole deal about this contract in Cleveland, I mean, it's the easiest thing they could do on the contract, if they didn't think he could play right now, just go ahead and eat it and move on. This is a head coach in the first year of his contract. All right, he's in the very first year of it. He honestly thinks that Deshaun Watson gives him a better chance to win. I think that's why he has him out there. All this other stuff is reading between the lines, and he pats this guy on the back and he don't pat that guy on the back. It's just silliness to me. It's just somewhere it was written and we missed it that Shedeur Sanders has a God-given right to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And the irony of that is every team in the league had a chance to make that happen at least 4 times in the draft, and they didn't do it. But now somehow Cleveland takes him in the 5th round, and they're misusing him. Last year, they misused him with Dylan Gabriel. Well, Dylan Gabriel was drafted ahead of him. I mean, I find this whole situation just loony.
Because it is, and because RG3 is in the hip pocket of Deion Sanders, in my opinion. Dre, your thoughts?
At first, I didn't know RG3's wife was Russian. Is she Russian? I never heard her talk before. She's always in the videos.
I don't know if she's Russian but she is something Eastern
Slavic.
European or whatever.
Yeah, something from over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the coach, he doesn't need to talk up Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's been in the NFL for several years. Most coaches don't have to talk up their players every time the player is asked about by the media because the player already has a track record of knowing who he is. The coaches and players, teammates know who that player is. You don't have to puff a player up consistently when he's asked about. Secondly, he said Deshaun Watson is starting because he has a $230 million contract. Well, Deshaun Watson has a $230 million contract because at some point in his career in the NFL, he proved himself to be worthy of that money. Shedeur Sanders has not. That's why he doesn't have that type of contract. So yes, he's kind of saying the chicken before the egg. I'm saying it's the egg before the chicken. Fourth thing is Shedeur Sanders is young and unproven. So when you have a player in that position with Watson being, we don't know what we're going to get out of this guy, Yeah, let's keep talking up this young player because we might need him depending on how Deshaun Watson plays. Let's keep him mentally engaged just in case we have to call him into the game or call him onto the team to lead at some point during the season. And the last thing with the Shador Colts is, didn't he play last season? He got a chance to play. How'd he do? How'd the team do? And people are talking up Shador as if there's some great wrong being done to him because he's not playing. He played last year. He did not set the world on fire. And that's why I think his presence on a team, because of the media behind him, puts him in a tough position, Shador himself, because he's never going to live up to the way the fans talk about him, I don't think. And anytime he doesn't perform, the fans are going to say, well, it's because of something other than him. And then if he's not playing, then he's bringing this baggage with him that does not match up to the performance that he's bringing to the field. I think his career is in a bad spot before he even gets a chance to really play.
Shador Tebow is a problem, no question about it. Steve Kim?
To what Dre said, it's an important issue when Robert Griffin allows his wife to talk and chime in. I just had me pining for Brenda's song. I wonder what she thinks about this whole situation. But Jason, this is where you have led the charge that the reason why you would have never drafted Shador was all of this. The circus. They brought in Barnum and Bailey. It's 3 rings. It's the tent, the elephant, and all this stuff. Who wants to, again, you have a first-year coach who's probably going to get one shot. I don't know if he understood what he was getting into in terms of this dynamic. Now, I believe that Robert Griffin III has every right to make any opinion he wants. I get it, because we all do it, right? But Braden Fajoko had something on his show. He said he thought what these guys like Shady McCoy are saying are throwing gasoline to the fire, and it's irresponsible. Again, people are allowed to have opinions, but I have a question. I believe Braden when he says I'm making calls to people inside that locker room and other people that I've met through my NFL travels. So he has sources, and they give me an inside scoop, right? I think that's credible. I believe Braden. I just want to know, does Robert Griffin has he made one phone call to anybody in that organization or locker room to say, hey, how's practice going? Who's the best quarterback? Or is he just giving his opinion to pander to a group of people?
Well, he's pandering to Dion. He's part of the Dion cult. I think he's made that crystal clear. And look, I don't, if RG3 was a trained journalist or had some journalistic experience, if he wants to read between the lines and read a coach's body language and a coach's conversation, that's fair ground. And I guess as I think it through, he's a quarterback. He's played football. He's listened to Art Browse talk about the quarterback situation. He's listened to Mike Shanahan talk about the quarterback situation. He's played, I think, with Baltimore. And, he's an experienced follower of how coaches talk about their QBs. But his analysis here just came off as childish. And just as, hey, I got to have some content, so let me espouse a theory that he's not being enthusiastic enough when he talks about Deshaun, and he's super enthusiastic when he talks about Shador. Therefore, I believe it just doesn't add up.
Jason, let me add this context to Robert. He was in a quarterback controversy, him and Kirk Cousins. I read a book recently by Mike Silver that talked about the whole Sean McVay coaching tree. All those guys that were involved. And from what I read in that book, it was clear that even though RG3 was the higher draft choice and the preferred choice of Daniel Snyder, everyone that saw practices and graded the film, and especially Mike Shanahan, he absolutely wanted Kirk Cousins. In fact, what I read in that book, he was out on Robert Griffin after the rookie year. He actually felt they should have traded him early. So I think there is some sensitivity to his own past that Robert Griffin is speaking on.
Here's the thing that rarely gets discussed, but is bubbling up in this Shador Deshaun Watson thing. And probably the reason why it can bubble up is because both quarterbacks are black. But I guarantee you, if you go back to the RG3 Kirk Cousins battle, what Mike Shanahan was concerned about was like, hey, man, who can get us in and out of the right play calls? Who actually understands our offense at a level where I'm confident enough that they'll audible us into the right plays, they'll call the right pass protections. But these types of issues, everybody just wants to look at the stats and not realize, like, hey, man, the coach is calling certain plays for one quarterback because that's all they can handle, and they're calling plays for the other one because they can handle a bit more. And maybe one guy is throwing riskier throws because he actually gets to the second, third, and maybe even fourth read, where the other guy has one read. We design a play to hopefully get that one guy open. He'll either hit that guy or he'll run and scramble, and that'll be it. And his numbers may look good, and his athleticism, because I'm sure Shanahan was sitting there, just like a lot of people wrongly were sitting there with Lamar Jackson saying, hey, look, if you're going to rely on your legs, you're going to get hurt and injured. And if you're leaning into your legs, you're going to be a compromised player. I think that's what happened to RG3. That's why his career after his injury went totally into the toilet, and he got injured his rookie season. So anyway, gentlemen, I got to let you go because I got to get to my closing argument.
This is Fearless, the closing argument.
Last night on the USA Network, Toronto at Seattle, the lead female broadcaster told a national audience the Washington Mystics called themselves the Young Hoes. Listen.
The W. And how about those young hoes from Washington, as they like to be called? Yes, that is what they like to be called. Thank you to Lauren Betts on that one. I'm not making it up.
She said it like a nickname, like a mascot, like it was cute. It was not cute. It was a confession with a smile on it. No group denigrates itself with more enthusiasm than feminist women, particularly feminist black women. They take the insult, put it on the jersey, and sell the humiliation as power. This is the fake theft of a word, the blessing of incompetence, and the envoice that proves that they think the body is the business. The young ho trend is marching in the same parade Black Americans have been marching for years, calling themselves niggas in the name of empowerment. They told the country they stripped the N-word from races. They didn't strip a thing. They put the chain back on and called the jury a trophy. Same lie, same joke. Now the women are running it with ho. November 2025, 4 words on X went 17 million views. Young hoes cook everything on high. The replies didn't fight the line, they confirmed it. Low patience. TikTok turned the joke into a pageant of women filming themselves cooking on high, throwing the dish in the trash instead of washing it, and eating on the clock and napping on the break. Proud, loud, and incompetent on purpose. Cosmopolitan, the magazine, called that a cultural advancement worth celebrating. Alex Clark called it the trashiest celebration of being incompetent she had ever seen, a self-humiliation ritual. Inez Stepman called it depressing. Same videos, 2 churches. The establishment church says if women's value used to be tied to a household, then refusing the household is liberation. It's not liberation. It's a retreat from competence with a press release. You do not take power from a slur by wearing it to work. You advertised that the insult won and you did the marketing. The Mystics repeating young hoes on national television is not a heist, it's a receipt. We will sell the body, skip the skill, and demand applause. They think there is power in selling their bodies. That is OnlyFans empowerment. There is no power in it. There is a price list. Joy Taylor, former Fox Sports, sat down this week and read the invoice. Watch.
I have not even done all of the things that I do to preserve this body and this face and this hair $1,700.
Yeah, that's wild. Like, I purposely will stagger some of my appointments because I'm like, ooh, do I really need to get my nails done every 2 weeks? Maybe like 3.5. Like, because that's a lot.
I'm not even as batty as I could be. Let's just say me. $2,500 easy is a monthly like maintenance
Just to
thing.
upkeep everything.
Upkeep.
That's Joy Taylor and another woman talking about what type of an allowance they would need from a man to be a kept woman. They settled at $5,000, and Joy Taylor said, nah, that's not enough for me, really. You know, if I'm going to be some sex slave to a man, it's going to be more than $5,000 a month allowance. So nails, hairs, lashes, smell, dress, the gym. She put her own monthly upkeep at $2,500 to $5,000. And that she said that's in case a man freaks out on her. $5,000 a month with the bills already paid still is not enough, she said, unless the man is buying a low-maintenance woman. A low-maintenance hoe is what she's talking about. She never named the storefront. She didn't have to. The body is the inventory. $5,000 is the bid she looked at and called cheap. A young hoe cooks everything on high because she will not wait. She throws the plate away because washing it is labor she refuses. She names herself a hoe because shame was the last skill she dropped. Then a national broadcast repeats the name like sisterhood. Competence is not oppression. A slur you pin on your own chest is not a trophy. It is a sign in the window. The women who still build things already named this. Self-humiliation, prostitution. Believe the behavior. The name itself is the confession. That is my closing argument for today. I'll be on the Harmony channel in 5 minutes with Shamika Michelle and April Chapman, new to our universe. But we're going to talk about Karen Ataya, the Washington Post columnist who was fired and now has sued to get her job back. She wrote some really controversial things about Charlie Kirk on the day Charlie Kirk died, and the Washington Post fired her for it. Now they've been forced to rehire her. We'll talk about it on the Harmony channel. We'll see you tomorrow on Fearless.